Hello and welcome back to the second live chat tonight, the second live pop-up chat. And to this video's topic is going to be the cost to the taxpayer of Princess Eugenie's wedding to Jack Brooksbank, which is estimated or rumoured, and I will stress the word rumoured, to be costing £2 million to the taxpayer in security costs. Now, we'll delve a little bit more into that, and in particular, why I've said rumoured. So let's just, I've made some notes. Let's just go through a few notes and discuss a few little points. So the wedding on October the 12th will be taking place at St George's Chapel. Now, this is the same chapel within the Windsor Castle complex that Harry and Meghan got married in. So it's quite a substantial royal chapel, and quite, you know, a usual, typical place for a royal to get married. As I said, these £2 million estimated rumoured costs are due to a terror threat increase. Now, originally, when the wedding was announced, these costs were thought to be around £750,000. Again, I do not know how the cost breakdown has happened, but since the threat is said to have got a little bit larger, the bill has skyrocketed to £2 million. And like I say, this is not an official cost. It's just something, a number that's been plucked from thin air, that's been bandied around. I mean, actually, I would like some official figures on what the estimate of the cost would be. But like I say, but we'll run with the rumoured £2 million cost anyway. Just bear it in mind that that figure might not be true and accurate. It is literally just what's being bound around. So what is that cost for? Well, it's for an increase in security. So that will be, I did write it down exactly what it was, extra firearms officers, and that is to protect the 1,200 members of the public which have been invited, Princess Eugenie and Jack Brooksbank's family and guests, and also members of the public who may just happen to be in the vicinity, because of course there would be media interest in this wedding regardless of whether it was quite a big event or not. Let's remember, cast our mind back to Zara Tindall and Zara Phillips as she was when she married Mike Tindall, and she got married in Scotland. And even though it was a private ceremony, there were no cameras. By the way, we still don't know if there's going to be cameras inside the church for Princess Eugenie's wedding. Up until now, it's still not going to be televised. We know that the guests outside, the invited guests, are going to be able to see it on, well, not see it, they'll hear it on loudspeakers. But in terms of it being televised, we don't actually know if it's going to be televised or not. Anyway, back to Mike and Zara. Even though it was a private ceremony in a smaller church than the St George's Chapel, I might add, but nevertheless, it was a private ceremony, there was still intense media scrutiny. They were all out there in force with the cameras seeing the arrivals and departures. I remember it. I remember sitting down watching it. It happened. So I don't really buy the argument that Princess Eugenie could just choose to have a smaller wedding. Wherever she had the wedding, there was going to be media attention, which then would require security. Of course it does. So yes, there's going to be security because obviously members of her family are going, probably celebrities. Of course, the Queen needs protecting, and there's going to be a carriage procession afterwards. Now, the only thing that I kind of I can see the point of, for the critics who are criticising the cost, is the fact that Eugenie and Jack are having a carriage procession. Now, a carriage procession ride throughout any street is going to court a lot more security risks. So if they didn't do the carriage ride, it would cut down on costs. But I don't think that would be very nice to do it. I mean, to be honest, the people that have come to wish them well want to see that. They want to be involved in the wedding. Obviously, some people in society who don't follow the royals, who may have a Republican leaning, they don't want to see it. Well, that's fine. But, you know, just because you don't want to see it doesn't mean other people don't want to see it. You know, certain sections of society seem to think that their opinions matter way more than anyone else's. So, okay, if you don't want to see it, if you don't want to watch anything on telly, just don't. Don't go there, don't be involved, don't watch anything, try not to listen to things, just don't be involved. But for those who do, you know, a wedding being televised, if it is going to be, is a really amazing thing. Many of us enjoyed Harry and Meghan's wedding. Many of us would love to see Eugenie and Jack's wedding. If it's televised, we don't know that it is. I'm fingers crossed, I really hope it is. But for the lucky 1,200 people, I have applied, but I've heard nothing back yet, that do get to at least hear it outside. See, this is why I don't think it's going to be televised, because if it was going to be televised, the guests would also be able to see it on screens. So because they're just going to hear it, that leads me to think that it won't be televised. So, you know, I mean, if they want to kind of justify the costs even more, televising it would also, you know, make it a little bit more justified. But critics are saying that minor royals shouldn't have big set piece events that are going to cost the taxpayer money. Again, I go back to the point of wherever she gets married, she's going to have her family there. Her family are royal. There is going to be security risks with whatever she does. So I don't think she actually could really have avoided it unless she'd literally gone off to, you know, a foreign country and had a secret marriage. But if that's not what she wants, then she doesn't have to have that. She can have that wedding if she wants to. And I think Mark Phillips, Zara's brother, Princess Anne's eldest son, he got married there too. So if he can, and he's not a prince, you know, people are comparing Zara's wedding. She isn't a princess. Even though they're granddaughters of the Queen, Princess Eugenie is a British princess. She's a princess of the United Kingdom. It is slightly different. Now I'm going to go to the chat room to see what you're all saying, because I'm sure you all have lots and lots of opinions on this. So all the people that were in the last chat have joined it too. Betsy is here. Sue Miller has left a comment saying, after reading press reports, I'm left with the feeling that Eugenie is determined to go bigger and better than Meghan and Harry. Seems a bit childish to me. I think the newspapers are pitting them against each other. The similarity is that it's in the same place. It's being held in the same church, in St George's Chapel, chapel rather, not church. So it's easy to make a comparison, and of course the press like to fuel these kind of feuds, and you know, so and so is competing with so and all this business. I don't think that's the case at all. I think, you know, Meghan and Harry had the wedding they wanted it. I think Jack and Eugenie will also have their wedding how they want it. They'll have the guests they want, they'll have the flowers they want, they'll have the, you know, bridesmaids and page boys. I think we do know that Beatrice is going to be the maid of honor or chief bridesmaid. But yeah, they will have it exactly how they want it, and I don't think there's any competition. I don't think Eugenie's trying to one up Meghan either. I think they're just saying that because it just sells papers, basically. Sweet Serenity says, today people were speculating on the Queen looking thinner and concerned. To my eye, she looks wonderful. Thoughts? Well, to my knowledge, the Queen hasn't been out today. Has she been out today? If she has, then I've completely missed it. I have been out a lot today, so if she has, I may have missed it. But if they are referring to when she was at church, I mean, you're looking at her through a car window. I don't think she particularly looks any thinner. Although, to be perfectly honest, we have had quite a lot of hot weather in the country, and I've not been eating as much because I haven't felt like it, because it's been really, really hot. We're back to being a bit more of our usual temperatures now. But, you know, if the Queen is looking a bit slimmer, perhaps it's just because she doesn't really want to eat anything because it's been really hot. I felt exactly the same way. But I didn't look at her last week and think that she looks a lot thinner anyway. James Med4 says, I think it's the other way around. Harry's wedding was small. I think Harry's wedding was more simple. It was a simple wedding. And it was probably a lot more like what you would expect your own type of family wedding to be. You know, it was more personal, I think, than what we've seen before. Eugenie's might be more formal. We really don't know. Marion Blind says, a live chat, lovely tiara, thank you. And for those of you who saw the other video, I've changed my tiara. I now have the replica Princess Diana tiara, or rather the Lover's Knot, Queen Mary's Lover's Knot tiara with the pearls. Can you see? So I've changed it because I fancied wearing two. And I also changed my brooch for you eagle-eyed brooch watchers. Rodney Jackson says, when will you hear if you're invited for the wedding? I think when I applied, it said September. So I think sometime in September, I'll be notified. I think first by email, they said, actually. MSMB 2012 says, I think the granddaughter of the Queen of England deserves an extravagant wedding for all she endures from the public scrutiny. Well, another criticism for those saying that £2 million is too much money was that she's not a working royal. Well, I don't think she's not a working royal by choice. I think it's probably because, and we've discussed this many times on my live chats, that I think she would really like to be doing more, and she is doing more. If you know, she is doing lots more charity work. And Sarah Ferguson, Sarah, Duchess of York, is always tweeting about the work they're doing. Beatrice and Eugenie both have been a lot more involved in probably the last 6 months with different royal engagements that they've actually been invited on to represent the Queen. And I think they're coming a little bit more into the fold. So, and of course, they are the only blood princesses of the younger generation that we have. And, you know, I think it would be nice for them to both have really nice weddings. Okay, let's have a look at some more questions. Marion Stampley says, would it be different if she was Charles's daughter? Well, if she was Charles's daughter, she would be next in line to be the Princess Royal. So yes, it would. Mrs. BSN09 says, I watched footage on YouTube of Zara's and her brother's. His was at St. George's too. I thought it was. But again, there was still intense media scrutiny. It doesn't matter where they get married. There is going to be media scrutiny, which means public attention, which means possible public crowds, and of course the families there and guests there. And that just means more security. And Holloway says, is there any way I can help you get an invite, tweet, or like? I don't think. It's just a ballot. It's a ballot. It's names in a hat, so to speak, and they will draw out people, and 1,200 lucky people will be invited, or get to go, rather. Sweet Serenity says security is important. It is indeed. James Med4 says, so if Harry had a Westminster wedding, the security would have been any more. Windsor seems to be a contained area, cheaper to secure. On the face of it, I totally agree. You know, it could have been worse. She could have chosen St. Paul's or Westminster Abbey. She didn't. She chose, you know, basically their family church. They're the House of Windsor. It's St. George's Chapel, Windsor, you know, on the Windsor Castle grounds. So, you know, it is a family private wedding, but she's chosen to share it with people because of the intense public interest. But whether there was public interest or not, the royal family is still going to be there. There's still going to be the associated security costs. Kathy G says it shouldn't be televised because people would just compare her wedding to the Duke and Duchess. Not fair to anyone. As I said, I would still love to see it, but I'm, you know, quite happy for both weddings to be different. In fact, I think that's one of the nice things, to see what's different about them. Yes, Peter Phillips. Not did I say Mark? I meant Peter Phillips. Yes, and give me a big thumbs up if you are enjoying this video. MSMB 2012 says, yes, a princess of the United Kingdom deserves a wedding befitting her title. Marion thinks I'm right. Thank you, Marion. James Med4 says, Lady Helen married Princess Margaret's... Oh, Lady Helen married there. Princess Margaret's 2 children married at a smaller church next to Westminster. Plus the press love to make it the Yorks never can do right. Again, it is all that sort of press and tabloid fodder. Cindy Munger says, not even the number of extra guests. Do you mean The 1,200 is extra guests and members of the public. That's extra to the guests that they are inviting to the actual church. It's a True Mike says, I'm thinking it's okay. I think everyone needs to be protected. I completely agree. Wendy loves the tiara, thank you. Rosby Chocolate says, how many crowns do I have? Currently, I have 3. I have a replica sapphire and diamond Queen Victoria tiara. I have the one I wore previously, which was the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland. And I have the Lovers Not Princess Diana tiara. So 3 at the moment. It's a True Mike is hoping for more traditional music. Well, if we do get to hear, I mean, I don't know whether they'll be broadcasting the sounds that the crowd can hear on the radio or not. We may get to hear, I don't know. Rodney Jackson says, praying that you get to go so I can spill the tea. I most certainly will, and be doing lots of vlogging if I do get to go there. Zorina Baron Marquis says, call me crazy, but are the critics even British citizens? Well, it's from British tabloid newspapers. That's who's been writing it. Hey Shay London says the security issue is very important. No one would want to see anything happen that would be horrible. Well, again, we go back to if there wasn't the security, if they didn't have security there and something happened, the same people that are criticizing the cost of the security would then be moaning and shouting blue murder, saying, where was the security? Why didn't you protect them? So they can't win. They're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. It's one of those things. Melody says, will there be merchandise sold and other ways the economy can be boosted from the wedding? There might be something official. To be honest, I haven't looked, so I will get back to you on that one if and when there is something, and I'll probably show you the website so you can see what there is. Cindy Munger says, yes, that's a copycat issue that I can't separate. Yvette Marshall says, wonder about Princess Eugenie's dress. Heard they're British. Princess has shown she can bring the eccentric. Yes, and some names are Westwood, Alexander McQueen, and Wickstead. Well, again, there's lots of rumours going around that it's going to be British. Well, I think, you know, there's no guarantee it's going to be British. I think it most likely will be British, which is why they're saying it. But again, nothing confirmed. It's not confirmed. So we don't know the designer yet. And of course, you know, everyone got Meghan's dress completely wrong. So let's not go with what people are speculating she's going to have, because it's probably something completely different. But I think it most likely will be British. Claudia says, is that a tiara you're wearing? Yes, it is. Can you show it a bit closer? I can. There we go. And it's the Queen Mary Lover's Knot tiara, which Princess Diana most famously wore. Do I know who the wedding planner is? No, but I would imagine the mother of the bride, Sarah, is probably helping. I mean, it's you know, her first child's wedding. Yes, she's going to be excited and happy. Or rather, that should be the first wedding of one of her children. Are they inviting 600 guests? I don't know the exact capacity, because obviously the guest list is not released to us. Wonder where Sarah will be seated. She will be seated in prime position. I mean, again, it's traditional in the UK for the mother's side to be on one side. Oh no, it's the groom's side on one side and the bride's on the other. So I would imagine she will be with the bride's side. So that will be the royal family. By the way, in the chat room, there's some things going on, and I don't think I've timed anybody out. If I have, I didn't mean to. I've just been swiping and doing things. So if I've timed you out, then I'm sorry. I didn't really mean to do it. The first Mrs. R says, people complain about the costs, but they don't factor in how much money the UK stands to make through tourism. Restaurants, hotels, souvenirs, etc. The taxpayer will make that money back. I agree. It's a huge economic boost to the country. Arnold Sanders says, was Samantha Markle on Celeb Big Brother? No, she wasn't. And neither was Stormy Daniels, who was rumoured to be going in as well. Go Getter says, if the wedding is aired, I will watch. Roger Chaplet says, I'd watch the wedding too. Will Prince Philip be there? I think so. Again, we have no confirmation on the guest list, but I would imagine that he will be there. Right, and I think I've got to the bottom of the list. Now, let me just check my notes to see if I've missed anything off that I really wanted. Oh, yes. The same critics are also talking about her home, that Ivy Cottage at Kensington Palace, which she's moved into. And they are saying again that she's costing the taxpayer money because she's paying a reduced rent. She's not paying a reduced rent. When it was mentioned that she was going to move in there, it was said that she was going to pay full market rent. And I'll say that again, full market rent. She is not getting a reduced rate. So that was fake news too. We also know a little bit about who is paying for what. So the security costs are going to be met by the taxpayer. But again, that 2 million figure, I don't know if that's true. We don't really know the full cost, but I would like the police perhaps to put out an estimate of the exact figure of what they estimate it might be. But we'll go with the 2 million just because that's the figure that's being bandied around. But just bear in mind it might not be true. So the cost of the wedding, the actual private wedding, is going to be met by both sets of parents. So Jack's parents and Eugenie's parents. So that cost will be met privately, and no doubt also probably by the couple themselves. Okay, I think I've mentioned everything that I've got to mention about that. So like I say, there are a whole load of articles and things being said, but I just wanted you to sort of bear in mind the whole picture, because sometimes, you know, those who like to hate always kind of shout the loudest. Sue Miller says, thank you so much for these 2 live chats. You're very, very welcome. Coach DJ says, I've just come into the chat, but do have a question. Why would Princess Eugenie have to drop of York after her marriage if Jack doesn't get a title? Because she's a married woman, and technically when you marry, you take on the your partner's, if they're male, you take on their title, and it's still a little bit archaic like that even today. The vestiges of equality haven't quite caught up yet. So technically she becomes Mrs. Jack Brooksbank, but obviously she was born a princess of the United Kingdom, so she retains her princess status. Doesn't matter if she marries below her rank, she still maintains that, but she drops the of York, because technically she's Princess Eugenie of the United Kingdom, Mrs. Jack Brooksbank. So she doesn't need the of York, she drops it. And I hope that makes sense. Hey London says, help, I am in a timeout. I don't know why. It said I put you in a timeout, but I didn't. As far as I'm aware, I didn't. I've just been flicking up and down on my screen. And I don't think I accidentally pressed anything. In fact, I don't think I can. Oh, I may have pressed something by accident. I am very sorry if I put you in a timeout. I didn't mean to. You see, we usually have Jamie in here to sort things out, don't we? So I am sorry, by the way, if I did that. Lady Buckingham Dawn says, is this live? Yes, it is live. I am here. And I'm putting people in times out, and I didn't mean to do that. You changed tiara, Dawn says. Yes, I did. I am wearing the Queen Mary Lovers Not tiara, and I also changed brooch too. H.A. London says, I hope Eugenie has the wedding of her dreams. She deserves that. She does indeed. And I think hopefully everyone can kind of agree to that too. Lollipop Unicorn says, wonder who the bridesmaids and pages will be. Well, I think we probably might have an idea. Then she may choose some children of friends, but I think the ones that we most likely to expect, although, you know, don't be surprised if they're not, but the ones that we can most likely expect are probably George and Charlotte, possibly Mia Tyndall as well. Maybe Isla and Savannah might be bridesmaids. So, you know, the typical royal children are probably going to be involved somewhere, but don't discount children of friends as well. They could also be in there somewhere. Rodney says, will Jack get a title? That is not known at this present time. Everyone is speculating, but again, we do not know for sure at this time. We will know for sure on the day of the wedding, because that's when it's always announced. Mrs. VSN09 says, everyone compares weddings they attend to others or their own. I look forward to seeing pictures like I do of other celebrity weddings. Not comparing, as I'm sure her wedding will be a very traditional one. Again, every wedding is different, and I'm sure she will have exactly what she wants. Donna Howell says, hey Elliot from Washington State, love your channel, all the truthful information. I do try my best, and again, if we don't know something, if something isn't known, I'll say it's not known, and I'll let you know when we do. Sam Wilson says, Jack was offered a title and he turned it down. We don't know that for sure. That is just speculation. Dawn says, where did I get my tiaras? You can find them on Amazon. In fact, I think all of the ones that I've received are from Amazon. Some of them I put on my Amazon wish list, and you can just find them. Just type in royal replica tiara on Amazon and some will come up. Jojo says, why am I not using my MacBook Pro for the live chats? Because I'm not sure that I can fit my camera into the slot. I need an adapter for it. So I'm not using my MacBook Pro for that at present, but I will sort it all out eventually. Anyway, how can you tell that I'm not using it? Does it say? Does it say what I'm using? I don't know. Anne Holloway says, I hope he does get a title. I would like that too. I would like to see him get an earldom. And then Princess Eugenie would be the Countess of whatever. That would be really nice. But, you know, let's not get carried away. He might totally not. Winifred Morris has given me a big old thumbs up. Right, we have 96 people, 99 people watching. So if you haven't given me a big thumbs up and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure that you do. Okay, I am going to leave that here because I think we've discussed pretty much everything. And of course, any concrete things that come to light about the upcoming royal wedding, I will of course let you know. I will update you on, and I will of course let you know as soon as I know if I've got a place to go to the wedding. I'm really hoping that I do. So I'm going to leave it here, and this is the end of the chats for tonight. I will be back tomorrow for my weekly live chat, which is 10 o'clock GMT, that's British time, on Saturday, every Saturday. I'm always here on a Saturday, unless I tell you otherwise. So, from me in Shropshire, until tomorrow, goodbye.